Hello, I'm your host, Ashaya Green. Welcome to another episode of The Wrap-Up. This week, we'll be covering the MLB, the NFL, college football, and a special Bloomsburg Sports Edition. Here's Jake McDonald kicking things off with Major League Baseball.
Thanks, Ashaya. Hello, everyone. I'm Jake McDonald. The Major League Baseball postseason is in full swing, pun intended. With the divisional round almost at a close, we are one step closer to finding out who will be playing for a World Series crown. The American League is set. The American League Championship Series will be contested between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Cleveland Indians. Both of these teams defeated their divisional round foes in 3 games. The Blue Jays took out the Texas Rangers, and the Indians defeated the Red Sox. With Boston's demise, David Ortiz came to a close. It'll be interesting to see if baseball's Hall of Fame voters consider Ortiz as a lock to make to the Hall of Fame. Game 1 of the American League Championship Series takes place tomorrow night on Friday at 8 o'clock on TBS. The National League is not as clear yet. Right now, we know that the top-seeded Cubs will host Game 1 of the National League Championship Series on Saturday at 8 on FS1. The Cubs eliminated the Giants in 4 games, and Game 4 was as intense as they come. The Giants had a 5-2 lead in the top of the 9th inning, but Chicago rallied from behind and scored 4 runs in the 9th before closer Aroldis Chapman sealed the deal. Who the Cubs will host in Game 1, however, is still yet to be determined. That's because the series between the Dodgers and the Nationals is tied at 2 games apiece. Game 5 takes place in Washington, D.C. tonight. So buckle up and grab some sunflower seeds because it's do-or-die baseball tonight. Now let's kick it to the desk for some NFL talk.
Hey, thanks, Jake. Now it's time for some NFL talk. I'm Justin Rodriguez.
And I'm Anthony Palmieri.
And let's get right to what matters most. Tom Brady is back, and it's like he never left, throwing for 406 yards and 3 touchdowns this weekend against the Browns. Martellus Bennett recording all 3 of those touchdowns. What can you say about Tom Brady?
You know, he was on vacation last week in Italy. This week, he's throwing 3 touchdowns against the Browns. I mean, what more can you say about the guy? Now,
the Browns lost their 3rd-string quarterback, Cody Kessler. Hopefully they can get that figured out. But now let's move on to Carson Wentz, who killed 2 birds with 1 stone this past weekend, unfortunately. He recorded his first interception and also his first loss against the Lions. Got to give some credit to the Lions defense. I mean, they did step up, especially Darius Slay with the game-winning interception.
Big interception.
So, I mean, what can you say about Carson Wentz? He's got to play the Redskins this coming weekend.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good game for him against the Redskins.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's been doing good. Speaking of Philadelphia, let's go to the Vikings where Sam Bradford is 5-0.
Sam Bradford.
A moment of silence for Sam Bradford, who's 5-0. Like, I mean, a lot of props to his defense, but you can't argue that it's just his defense. I mean, they didn't have Stephon Diggs this past game against the Texans. I mean, the Texans did look lost, but still, they didn't have Stephon Diggs. That's their #1 receiver, and Sam still found ways to get it done.
They did have Tyler Thean step up for them, had over 100 yards and a touchdown. Very big game. I mean, they just keep rolling somehow, the Vikings.
You can't stop them. I mean, Thean is probably some of the reason why we don't see as much Treadwell, but anyways, big names. Frank Gore right now. He just passed Jim Brown for 9th all-time in rush yards, so good for him.
Great player.
And if we're going to talk about Frank Gore, we might as well go back to where he came from.
49ers.
Yeah, the 49ers. Kaepernick's going to start week 6, and I can't be happy enough. I'm a 49ers fan. I've been waiting for this. Everyone's been waiting for this. I mean, Chip Kelly has Kaepernick, and everyone's like, this is the match made in heaven. They're going to resurrect each other or whatever. So what can you say about it?
I mean, you can't really go wrong here. I mean, they're not really winning this year. Kaepernick seems to have good measurables for Chip Kelly's offense, strong arm, good runner. Chip Kelly has been somewhat of a quarterback whisperer as an NFL coach. He had Nick Foles for 27 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Gave Sam Bradford his best year.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because those are 2 quarterbacks with pretty much concrete shoes. They're not running. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So now he has what he wants in Kaepernick, and I can't wait to see it, honestly. And he can't be worse than Blaine Gabbert.
No.
Could he
Blaine
really?
Gabbert, a mediocre quarterback.
Please don't prove that to me, Kaepernick. But I don't think he could be worse than Blaine Gabbert. So let's move on. We're gonna go back to the AFC again. Paxton Lynch got his first start.
Which against the Falcons.
Against the Falcons, yeah. He ended up losing. He looked a little bit lost, I thought. And you know, they're gonna get Trevor Siemian back for this Thursday, so they should be back on track. You know, the defense didn't look like they were all there. But all right, we'll put that one to rest for now. We'll see what happens. But let's move on to the NFC East. Let's talk about Dak and Tony.
Cowboys.
The Cowboys, yes. Tony Romo's coming back. He's healthy. Do you play him? Do you sit him? What do you do?
I would go with the high hand right now. I'd keep Dak in there as much as it pains me to say that. I mean, they're 4-1 right now. They're rolling. doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, if it's working, why are you going to change
if it ain't broke, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Dak and Ezekiel have some good stuff going on. I mean, Ezekiel's a beast.
Too.
Both rookies. Ezekiel's a monster, so I can't see a reason why you'd want to start Tony Romo. Don't. They made the same mistake last season, and the dude broke his collarbone.
Injured himself again.
Don't. Just keep going with what works.
Right.
So, all right, well, that's all we have for the NFL. Now let's talk about some college football.
Welcome back to your college football update. After a crazy 2 weeks, the new AP Top 25 looks a little bit different. North Carolina had a short return to the rankings after getting knocked out from an uncharacteristic, yet still embarrassing loss at home to Virginia Tech. Florida State bounces back to beat Miami on a last-second blocked PAT, and 2 teams highlight the new polls. UW, or the University of Washington, cracks into the top 5 for the first time. The undefeated Huskies are finally looking like the team to beat in the Pac-12 after back-to-back blowout wins against conference rivals Stanford and Oregon. Meanwhile, Western Michigan is ranked at 24th, the first time in their program history they make the top 25. 3 big games highlight this weekend. First up, number 9, Tennessee at home taking on number 1, Alabama. Now, Tennessee is expecting almost 110,000 people for their Orange out in Knoxville, and after a heartbreaking loss to Texas A&M in overtime last week, the Tennessee Volunteers need a win to keep pace in the SEC East Division and keep their dream of a playoff alive. Now, Alabama comes off of what looked like a routine win over ranked Arkansas, and with 3 defensive starters out for the Tennessee Volunteers, the Tide look to keep rolling all the way to the SEC title game. These next 2 games for Bama at Tennessee and next week at home for A&M will decide the SEC season. Next big game to look at is North Carolina at number 16, Miami. Both teams coming off of heartbreaking loss, UNC getting thumped at home, Miami losing a heartbreaker at home. Both are in need of bounce-back wins to try to keep pace in their division. Both teams need a win to have a chance at the ACC title. So one team may see their playoff chances and dreams come to an end. Last year, Carolina dominated Miami 59-23 in Chapel Hill at North Carolina Senior Day. The last game to see is number 2, Ohio State, taking on number 8, Wisconsin in Madison. Both teams, again, need wins to keep pace in their division, but after a loss to Michigan last week, Wisconsin may need a little more than a win. They may need some luck. This will be the week that really gives us a look at how the Big Ten Conference may shape up with Nebraska, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Ohio State. So the picks for the week, I have number 1, Bama, going into Knoxville and fighting for a hard-fought victory. North Carolina picks themselves up after a bad loss and keeps their dreams alive at Miami, and Ohio State will win an offensive shootout in Madison. That's all for the College Football Report, and now we'll kick it back to the desk for the Bloomsburg Homecoming Report.
Thanks, Matt. I'm Sean Poden.
And I'm Jenna Kowalski.
It was an exciting weekend here at Bloomsburg University, as it was homecoming weekend. Multiple activities surrounded the fun-filled weekend, including a field hockey game, a soccer game, and a football game.
The Bloomsburg Huskies field hockey team fell to Westchester 2-1. Westchester was the first to score the first goal in the 20th minute. Just a minute later, the Golden Rams struck their second goal, making the score 2-0. This fired up the Huskies as just 2 minutes later, they put in their first goal, going into halftime with a score of 2-1. The second half was unfortunately scoreless, giving the Huskies their 4th loss of the season. Huskies goalie Lindsey Castle made a career high of 14 saves against the Golden Rams. Hopefully they can come back this Tuesday against Millersville at 2 p.m. The women's soccer team was able to snag the homecoming victory against Johnstown on Saturday with a victory of 2-0. The 2 goals were scored in the first half by Maureen Lewis and Jessica Supp. The second half was dominated by the Huskies defense, giving Johnstown only 6 shots in total and only 1 shot on goal. This marks their 6th win of the season and will get a chance at their 7th on Wednesday at 7:30 against East Stroudsburg.
Our BU Huskies took on a league foe for the annual football game against the Golden Rams of Westchester in a jam-packed Redmond Stadium. The offense really struggled to get anything started in the first half. Both Bloomsburg quarterbacks could not complete a pass in the first half, as all 54 first-half yards were on the ground. They held the Golden Rams scoreless in the first quarter, but halfway through the second, the Grams would drive 94 yards, capping it off with a 9-yard touchdown run from Gerald Elder. The Huskies would go 3 and out on their ensuing possession and would have to punt the ball over to the Golden Rams, who would drive once again, capping off another drive with an 18-yard pass from Pat Moriarty to Marcus Snydor. The Huskies would head into halftime down 14-0. The strong Bloomsburg D would show up in the third, not allowing any more points, still down 2 scores going into the fourth. But Gerald Elder would find the end zone once again for the Golden Rams halfway through the fourth quarter, making it a 20-0 contest. And the Rams were not done just yet. They would score once more on a 3-yard run, making it a 27-0 game with just under 3 minutes to go, trying to shut out the Huskies and spoil their streak of scoring 158 consecutive games. On Bloomsburg's final drive of the game, Duffy Gilhole would find Chad Hoffman in the back of the end zone, ending a heartbreaking loss for the Huskies on homecoming 27-7. The The Huskies offense was shut down as senior Lawrence Elliott Jr. only had 55 yards on 14 carries. The Huskies plan to bounce back next week at home against East Stroudsburg. That's it from us. Back to you, Deshaya.
That wraps up this week's episode of The Wrap Up. See you next time. And remember, go Huskies.